Welcome to Fresh Features, a new YouTube series where I feature and break down the biggest plays in Rainbow Six esports. I'm going to be looking at the SIX Invitational 2025 that just happened, and I'll be featuring G2 Esports, Space Station Gaming, and FaZe Clan inside of this video. But I'm not just talking about showing you what happened on the Twitch feed. No. I'm talking about going into the game files, into the match replays, really digging in to the granular detail to give you some insight on exactly how these teams play, exactly why things were successful and not successful, and then maybe even give you some small tips that you can use inside of your ranked games. But that's enough for me talking right now, so why don't we get into it?
Oh, Lucy, yeah. This looks to be a quick execute though. G2 have read this well. They're not allowing the aggressive play style because they're just going for a quick execute. And Blaz, he's repelled so quickly into Sandwich. Doki took a lot of damage, but he did survive. Now Gav, he comes into sight and comes to life with a T5. One kill, but Blaz shuts him down. Ooh! Another one for Blaz on the Blackbeard. He is a menace. Loira the Demon finds the last two. Try and get aggressive all you want on one to G2. They can play that game too.
The best scenario we could have gotten from this game is to win this round.
If we watch this play again from a complete top-down perspective, we can see that G2 have a complete preset play. They've done this actually a couple of times in the SI qualifiers, and they pulled it out again at SI. And it's all 5 players all at once with intended purpose to try and get that bomb plant down inside of Armory. They don't worry about CCTV, top east, break room, anything like that. You can see Doki and LML push in from the archive side. Blaz has pushed in from the Armory window. Uno's playing a supportive role, and then Loira's on the backstab. So we've watched it again from the top down, and then I'm going to go through basically how every single player has their own individual part in this preset execute. We see a lot of preset executes onto the archive side where the plant tries to go down on the archive side, where the plant will try and go down inside of here somewhere. But G2 change the plant location basically every time they do this, and they try and put it inside of Armory. So if we scroll back to basically before all of this happens, and we look at the setup, and we look at the player positions of G2, we've got Blaz out there on the Armory Repel with the Blackbeard. It's crucial. This whole strat relies on the fact that there is a Blackbeard in play, because with the Blackbeard you can silent repel in through the Armory window, and we've seen that from Blaz's point of view. LML plays the Ashe specifically for this, because what him and Doki are trying to do is they're trying to enable movement through archives into Armory. They want to basically double and triple up with Blaz onto, in this case it's Spirits, but they've done it quite a few times. And so to do that, you then have to Ashe the Armory wall there. So then you've then got Uno, who plays a supportive element of this. You can see he's on the Capitao. Now, what's Uno's jobs? What's Uno's roles and responsibility? Well, first and foremost, he needs to be smoking off any lines of sight. And then his second task, realistically, is to then get all of archives fired. What that does is it stops the players in archives or fountain or anybody in office, that side of the map, rotating in. And it enables Alamau and Doki to basically, if we just put them in green, it enables them to just walk straight through and get through past this Armory wall there. So then the final piece of the puzzle is Loira. Now, normally he would be on Dokkaebi here, but Dokkaebi's banned, so he's playing it on Finka. Finka actually works really well, obviously provides the additional health boost to his teammates, and basically, as all this panic's going on, Loira's just going to walk in and go for the backstab. So, again, if we slow this down, and I'm going to put this into 0.5 times speed, Ashe charge goes out, smoke goes out, and then this enables Doki and Alamal's movement, timed with Blaz doing the silent repel in. You can see it here. It's not quite silent because obviously there's no glass on the border windows, but it's more or less, you know, silent. That creates a 3 versus 1 onto Spirits, and he will die. Even if he takes one with him, which I think he does in this play, he will die. And then notice how Uno has switched. He goes gun up because he'll hold the swing, and then he goes to fire it off. And at this point, this is where Loira's just making a whole load of noise out the back, but has done a Finka stim at the same time. We roll this through. Spirits gets 1, gets traded out there. And now this is where Loira's going to start backstabbing. Obviously, the communication from this point, from Unwanted's point of view, is going to be, guys, they're inside, guys, they're inside, guys, they're inside, Blackbeard inside, Twitch inside, yada, yada, yada. So now G2 have the site control. This is where the reaction of all of the unwanted players is going to be get back to site as quickly as possible. Maintain this site control. So you've got Gvenny going up main stairs. You've got Dream coming back through archives. Atom was off his window at this point in time. And then Hotton is below. Not entirely sure what he's doing down there. Actually, I think he's holding Vert up to any plant spot. Because they think it's going to probably, when they've reacted on this, they'll think it'll be an archives plant. Obviously, it's going to be an armory plant. Notice how they forfeit all of this side of the map now. So that's going to leave Lyra to just walk in and create a backstab. It's not that they've forgotten about him, it's just that they can't deal with him right now. So Gavin gets the first kill here onto Doki, and I think Blaz reacts really well on this actually, because I think it's Uno's job, and as you can see, he's fired off archives, keeping Atom and Dream out, but I think it is kind of Uno's job, or it will be, I suppose, Alamar or Doki. Somebody's job is to hold top main as they get in there, depending on what the site setup looks like. You can see that Uno now has it, but he's holding it quite passively. And Gavin's already slipped past. Blaz actually does a great job there. He gets the first kill and insta-flicks into archives because I think Atom just tanked through the fire and manages to get it. And then this is where the beauty of the whole play now comes in, is that, look, Lyra's just going to have a free run of it, walking in on the backstab, gets one, gets two. And that was an excellent pre-planned move by G2, and it literally just isolates it. It understands how defenders, when you defend on the top floor of Armory, is you're going to have probably one Armory, maybe one Archives, one CC, one Break Room, and then maybe one top East or Office, right? And this is what G2 try and do, is they basically are trying to just go for this and enable a 3v1, a 4v2, whatever it is, a big man advantage situation inside of this red square. It was beautifully pulled off by G2 inside of this round.
KDS behind them. KDS now has a bit of open space to play in, and they've got to make sure that they do not forget about a man who was late to the party last time. Well, he's got to be there soon now. Their soul's gone. J90 in on the side. Forest cannot be stopped yet. Down on the stairs. In a Benja. And KDS swings all down to Benja. Once upon a time, SI's Boy Wonder here to try to keep SSG soaring.
So, what went wrong for SSG then? Because they had such a big advantage, but it didn't quite work out. They ended up losing the map. It ended up getting themselves knocked out of the 6th Invitational on the main stage. Had they have taken this map, this could have gone very, very differently, and this was against the ultimate winners in FaZe. Now, if you look at the way that FaZe are setting themselves up, you've got one player, two players out by site. You then have a link player in KDS over in Drum, and then you've got two players, Handy and Vita King, again being linked by KDS. So it's kind of 2-1-2 situation that they've got going on. And the way that SSG are actually going to attack this round, I quite like it, in fairness. It's kind of a 4-1. And what SSG are looking to do is they're looking to overwhelm with their 4 people, being Ashen up here, Forest and Benja down here, and then Fultz, overwhelm with those 4 people onto Handy and Vita King. And then J90 is just causing problems. He's droning, he's opening windows over on the backstab, just to keep these guys interested so that they can't move over and basically make it a fair fight. That's why J90 is critical inside of this attack so far. So if you look at how FaZe are split, they're actually quite separate from each other. We're seeing Vita King here inside of Geisha with a rotate to main stairs. And we're seeing Handy kind of lurking bottom main. And if we go down a floor, you can see he's about to be run on by J90 and Benjo. And actually, Ashen is also cutting off the rotate back to top black. So this is already 1, 2, 3 versus 1. So SSG inherently have the advantage from the way that this round's going to work so far. And as we see, if we go into Forest POV, you're going to see Forest run him down. Excellent stuff. Gets the kill, and he's going to move himself up to top black. So what Fultz is... Now we've got a 5 versus 4. Fultz on this attack, I said it was a kind of a 4-1. The idea for Fultz actually was that he would breach on the rappel of Geisha and start holding angles into Geisha so that Forest and Benja and Ashen can just work the other side, right? Create a bit of false pressure, let the guys work the other side, pinch them out. But ultimately, the bandit wire was the undoing of Fultz inside of Geisha. So the only thing he can do is open the window, which he's done, and then he's pissed off. He then sees that there's a reinforcement inside of Geisha hallway, wants to breach that with the ace charge. And as you can see, this ace charge is completely mute jammered off. So Fultz is actually, in a way, a little bit irrelevant, but it gets him a kill because he ends up all holding. If I can go into a nice long line of sight here, he ends up holding a line of sight from karaoke window through all of these holes to this rotate here. And that's how the next kill is actually going to come about. So I think it's a little bit fortuitous. Like, I think FaZe have actually played this round quite badly because obviously Handy's now dead. Cyber's gone to try and support him from sight and ends up getting himself killed as well, going through the rotate. Fultz is now on drone. You'll see him come off the drone here. And if we go back onto Fultz's POV, he's literally just holding angles at this point, and Cyber just gives him an absolute freebie. Cyber's probably not even aware of it, being the site player. I'm presuming that in this setup for FaZe, Handy is ultimately, his routing is supposed to go back upstairs and back through, or through the rotate if he needs to. So I think Cyber's tried to just come and help and ended up getting taken out. Now, this is where SSG are in an unreal situation. They've got 5 versus 3. They've killed 2 players. They've probably made some assumptions here, and this is ultimately what ends up, in my opinion, losing them the round. They make some assumptions here that they've killed the 2 guys out on the roam. And I think this is bad communication realistically, because we watched Fultz, and Fultz actually, when he was going to Geisha, had his drone shot by KDS in this exact position. So they know KDS is here. And they've not yet droned Vita King at all. Like, this top right-hand side of the map here is undroned. And if we look at the positions of the SSG guys, bottom left stairs, Benja's lurking underneath with Buck. You can see there's a drone near him. And Fultz is on the karaoke rappel. Ashen is himself outside a dragon window. And then J90 is droning the site, the backside. So nobody's actually droned these 2 guys. If we then look, Ashen's got a drone inside of dragon. And I think this is the first mistake that SSG make individually, is Ashen has now seen a gap inside of dragon, and he's hopped in. So he's hopped in, he's taken that ground. But again, these guys over here are still undroned. They don't know about them. They don't know that there's 2 here. They don't know that site is completely clear. If Ashen just YOLOs into site with J9, they get a 2v1 onto Souls, but Ashen kind of just sees some ground, takes some ground, but isn't necessarily aware of where anybody else is. The same thing is now going to happen with Forest as well, who is now going to go and get himself out of a goo mine and then push in through T. And you see Vita King here. I'll be honest, I don't know how he knew. There's 2 ways that he maybe could have known, which is either of the default cams, either the top VIP cam or the mezzanine cam has heard Ashen jump in and has heard him shoot. I think that's the only reason Vita King knew. Vita King swings, gets a 1. Okay, that's fine. It is what it is. Still a 4 versus 3 for SSG. Not too bad. But look at what happens as this is going on. Look at this player here. Undroned the whole round was KDS. He's now slipped himself into Geisha. So SSG are now going to continue. They're trying to make things happen. They're trying to keep playing with this pace. And this is why Forest now sprints at Vita King. Doesn't work. At this point, the assumption is, and this is where the assumption has gone wrong for SSG. So the assumption for SSG is Forest has seen Vita King drop. He knows the situation is a 4 versus 3. They have assumed that 2 players are on site somewhere. And then from an SSG perspective, Fultz, J9, and Forest, therefore, make it a 3 versus 2, regardless of what Benja's doing. If Benja goes and chases this guy down here, it's a 3 versus 2 on site with a blitz. So the call immediately, as soon as Vita King's dropped, clearly is go and hit site. So what you're going to see now is you're going to see Forest sees the drop. The call is now hit site. So you can see Benja's full sprinting to go and try and cut off Vita King. Forest is now full sprinting to hit site. But Vita King's already got himself back upstairs. Forest runs in, manages to find the kill onto Souls. It's actually J9 that finds the kill onto Souls from the window. Cool. Okay. So now they're expecting that 1's in sight, but they're not expecting it to be Vita King. They're expecting 1 in sight, 1 below. Maybe they know Vita King's gone upstairs. We can maybe check this out from Benja and see what he's checking. No, Benja thinks Vita King is below. So we can see, if we go back 5 seconds, the way Benja's playing, SSG is still assuming that Vita King is below. They don't know he's rotated up yet. You can see Ben just kind of holding. He's not even worried about sight. So if we go back, Fultz now tries the plant, and this is where it all goes wrong. Okay? I think this is ultimately where it's all gone wrong. Forest has made a play to try and kill Vita King. Heard him, Frostmat, dead. And the same time, KDS has hit the flank. And I'm actually going to go back onto KDS's point of view, because again, he went undroned. But Forest didn't need to jump. They've played a lot on assumptions here. Anyway, it plays out. Vita King gets the kill. KDS gets a double kill. Vita King gets that one. And Benja's in the 1 versus 2 that he ultimately ends up losing. And that's the 4 versus, 2 into 0 versus 2. But if we go all the way back, this is the bit that I want to show and highlight. As Vita King is making the play to go and swing Ashen and is making an aggressive play over here, KDS is going and slipping himself into Geisha. So if we watch the rest of the round from KDS's point of view, what you're going to see actually is that he has insane timing and insane trigger discipline. I don't think FaZe played this round particularly well. This is completely off the cuff Siege. He's had 2 bad timings on Forest there on the blitz. But look at that trigger discipline. Doesn't shoot him, goes in, gets 1, gets 2, and this is the same time that the Frostmat happens. Ultimately then, it's all about Benjamin to try and clutch up. Who doesn't clutch up? And for me, had SSG stopped at around about this point, had they have stopped at around about this point and redroned and refigured stuff out and made sure that Geisha was clear and made sure that Drum was clear and forced their way through and played through both of these, they might have got this down to a 2 versus 1, a 3 versus 1, those types of scenarios with souls at the end. But they didn't. Ashen went a little bit solo. Forest then went solo. There was a call made on assumptions, and that's how it all went wrong because they didn't actually use their information. You can see here, J9's got quite a good drone here, but hasn't fully gone and checked. It's just the small things, but the problem is when you're up against a FaZe clan, if you give them an inch, they will take a mile, and we saw it in that round. That was down to individual ability, realistically, from KDS and Cyber and Vita King to make that clutch work, but that was all allowed because SSG were operating off of assumptions and at 1 pace. At no point did they vary the pace. You know, the way that they went is they went high pace throughout. What they really should have done, being honest, is they should have gone high pace for the first couple of kills, dropped it off, reassessed, and then gone back to high pace. And that probably would have led to success.
He's trying to isolate, but there's the shot from Philippox. And for what seems like the first time in forever, Fury have started things strong, but Handy will find his kill. Takes a few shots from the pistol, but eventually Hertz will go down. KZ, meanwhile, has lost his life, and it is indeed a backstab here for FaZe. A flash comes out for Leapok's blind. JV, him, and Nade to try and hold on to this position. Leapok spotted and eliminated by Souls. A 4v1 now, Fury cannot hold on. JV's found his first, but no C4 available, and no shot in hell!
FaZe are the world champions. One of the big reasons for that is because of their discipline. Now, in this round against Fury, I'm going to show you just why they operate with that discipline. So, the basement bomb site of Kitchen, there's 3 ways that you can attack this. You get the option of attacking it bakery over in quite a linear setting. You get the option as an attacker to attack it VIP over in quite a linear setting. Obviously, you don't come in there, you come in from the window and from bottom right. Or you can do a full clear, which is where you start top floor, then work through the middle floor, and then drop down into site, usually through the hatch, down here, and you try and plant here. They're kind of the 3 ways that you can attack basement onto Cafe. Most teams, they will choose to do a full clear because you get the most map control and it gives you the best opportunity to set up a plant. Now, usually you're going to be setting up a plant somewhere either here, on the bomb chassis, or maybe a deep angle here when you do a full clear. They're kind of your 3 places that you'll be going for. The reason I'm doing this is because when attackers go for that, defenders at a pro level know instantly that that's going to happen, and they move themselves out to positions outside of sight. You see JV here inside of Wedding or Christmas, Nade in Bakery, KZ will be playing kind of brown bar, main door, into coat check. Then you've got a VIP player and a long bar player in Philippox. Notice how none of these players are inside of the bomb site itself. Bomb site is shown in green here and then in green here. None of them are inside of it. Now that's key, because basically what happens is when a full clear happens, it comes down to two things. It comes down to one, time management from the attackers. Can they execute with enough time? And then two, it comes down to, can the defenders retake through into the site? Are the attackers appropriately holding the vertical? So if we just do it from a defender point of view, you'll retake in the double door here. You'll retake in this double door here. You might retake into kind of white and into VIP, basically to collapse onto these areas. And realistically, all of these positions can be held from various places. If I go up above and we go and look, the double door gets held by the vert that can be made on this red hallway here. That's why you'll often see teams actually reinforcing this wall, because if you can get a long angle from inside of here, you can look all the way down to the double door. FaZe chose not to clear it. The double door of sight can be held from verticals here, and prep can be held from verticals, and then any retake into freezer can be held from above the hatch or any control that the attackers have. So when you're attacking, basically there are two obstacles. One is the time, and then the second one is the player in VIP, because this player can deny the hatch drop. And therefore, you have two mini executes. You have an execute onto that VIP player, and then you have an execute onto the bomb site itself. This is why FaZe are so good. This is why they're so disciplined. And I realize that I've talked a lot here. But if we go and we look at FaZe, what they're going to do is actually, they're going to walk down Brown Bar to take a 1v1 with KZ, whilst two people double up and push heads. So ultimately, what ends up happening is a 3 versus 2 engagement. And it's actually funny because they're starting this in a man disadvantage, because Philippox picks up the first pick up the vertical. So this round goes really fast, so I'm going to rock it through in 0.5 times speed just to show you. So as we move on, actually I'll move it to 1 times until we get close to it. It's actually going to be Philippox doesn't get killed in the vertical. I think he might kill KDS. Yeah, he does. He gets the kill onto KDS here. So it's actually meant to be a 4 versus 2 instead of a 3 versus 2, but KDS dies. Anyway, we've got to the point that the execute's coming in, the first execute onto VIP. So notice here, it's a double up of these two players here onto Herds over here, and Cyber's going to walk down here and take a 1v1. If I pause it there, you can then see that Handy, which is what you've just seen in the clip, goes and gets the kill onto the mute, while Cyber at the same time goes and gets the kill onto the book. Where that down puts us is that the first execute from FaZe has actually ended up being a 2-for-2 trade. It's navigated into a 2-for-1 trade. It's navigated into a 4 versus 3 situation. At the same time as all this is happening, Vita King has actually dropped the hatch. And because he knows that he's dropped the hatch, his two mates, Souls and Handy, are here, and Cyber came down the stairs, there is therefore opportunity for somebody like Philippox or somebody like Nade to have retaken into sight, because nobody is currently playing the vertical. You can see Cyber, as soon as he's got that kill, he's going now back up. And Vita King, therefore, he makes a super, super smart decision. He decides, I'm going to ying into sight, and then I'm going to check my drone just to make sure that nobody is pushed through and aggressed into us. Now, that is the discipline that I talk about with FaZe. He now gets on his drone with 27 seconds left. And lo and behold, there's Philippox ratting himself out. Had he have gone unchecked, Philippox potentially wins this round for Furia because he's made a great play. But FaZe's discipline actually stops it. Bang. Philippox is there, and look, they're there literally straight away. Great communication. And Souls is going to pick up that kill. Absolute freebie. Again, FaZe now know that in this situation, the only way that they can lose is if somebody aggresses in to them. If one of the attackers aggresses into them through the double door, or retakes into VIP. Well, what's their answer to this? Handy's holding VIP. Souls is holding towards the double door there. And Cyber, you can see him just here on the outline, is now holding down these bits of vertical. And that's exactly what happens. He picks up the kill onto Nade. Looking down the vertical, look at him, he's holding the double door. Just happens to see him. Absolute freebie. That then leaves it up to JV, who now has a blitz in his face, called out. And I think it ends up being... Is it Souls that gets the kill onto him, or is it Cyber? I'm going to assume it's Souls. I think Souls gets the kill onto him. Either way, Plant's going down. Again, from FaZe there was discipline in the 2 mini executes that they had to do. Both times to play everything together and then to actually operate with discipline when they knew they'd left a gap, go and check to make sure that nobody's abused that gap, and if they have, kill them. That's exactly what they did. It got them their 4th attacking win in a row on Cafe and helps them to progress through. This was the lower bracket final game, and it helps them to progress through to the grand final where they would eventually end up winning it.